Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, then welcome to my channel for the very first time. My name is Abby and I am a stay-at-home homeschooling mom of 5 kids. We have all ages here from toddlers to teenagers. So we've got high school, middle school, elementary school, and one who's not in school yet. And so we stay pretty busy around here. Today I am sharing a video that I really started on this channel from the very beginning of my channel. I started sharing things that we've been enjoying and using in our homeschool. I called it Homeschooling Favorites, and I used to share these monthly when I had a couple kids in elementary school, and that was it. So at that point in time, we were investing in our homeschool, so we were pretty consistently buying new things, new toys, and my purpose back then was to buy things that I know we would continue to use for more kids over the years. And so I slowed down on sharing those videos because I've slowed down on needing to buy things, because as my younger kids grow up, I don't need to be purchasing as many games or homeschool toys or books or curriculum or anything like that, because we've saved and reused most of those things from the very beginning. So I switched from sharing this video monthly to sharing it quarterly. And now I don't think I've shared a video like this in a year. So I am going to share some of the things that we are enjoying and using in our homeschool and just really loving right now. I kind of pulled some things that I know we used often between like September and now. So just the things that stuck out in my mind as items or books or curriculum or toys that have been beneficial and things that we've really enjoyed that I haven't shown you before. So that's what today's video is. Before I start sharing these things, I wanted to say thank you to Zookeeper for partnering with me on today's video. So I'm going to share a little bit about them and tell you about a deal that you guys can grab using my link, and then we'll get into the homeschooling favorites. Today's video is in partnership with Zookeeper. Zookeeper is an award-winning reading and writing program for children ages 6 through 12, and it's developed by experienced educators to improve reading and writing skills. Within Zookeeper, there are thousands of educational games, lessons, and resources, and as a parent, you get to follow your child's progress with your parent dashboard. With Zookeeper, children are inspired by their own creations, they draw their own magical characters, and they take them with them throughout the night zoo and develop and grow their creative writing skills. Since the foundation of all great writing is a broad and rich vocabulary, with the Zookeeper, your children will learn thousands of new words through exciting, personalized activities and games, and as they progress, they'll encounter sentence-building games, writing challenges, and tons more exciting activities that help them use all the new vocabulary words that they're learning and build more complex sentences. And then they get to put their learning into action by writing stories and poems and reports and various types of writing. And then that writing goes into a personal portfolio that can be shared with people, and they get great feedback on everything they write. So they're encouraged to improve on things, from receiving comments from the Zookeeper characters as well as their team of educators. My kids really look forward to Zookeeper. Right now I have my 6-year-old and my 10-year-old playing Zookeeper, and I just love how it goes by their age and their stage of writing that they're at right now. My younger daughter has more basic beginner level vocabulary. She was just given the challenge of using these 3 specific words in her writing by developing a big red spotty character, and then it had her use, the challenge for her was to use those 3 words, big red and spotty, as she created and drew her character and as she wrote her little report. And then my older son is doing all sorts of vocabulary challenges and games, and he's doing longer writing, and then he gets great feedback where they encourage him to try something new, new vocabulary words. They work with him on punctuation and just the basics of writing, as well as giving him new challenges. So the feedback is highly effective for him. He loves getting that feedback, and it's just a fun and exciting way to learn some vocabulary and improve your writing. So if you would like to try Night Zookeeper today, you can get a 7-day free trial with 50% off your annual subscription as well. The link for that is in the description box down below. Thank you so much, Night Zookeeper, for working with me once again and partnering with me on today's video. Okay, so we are going to get started here with some things that I've enjoyed for my littlest one, who is 18 months old, and my 6-year-old. So these are just some little kid toys and things, and then I'll move on to books, games, and then miscellaneous items after that. So first things first, if you watched my Christmas gift guide, then you may have already seen this, but these are some like chunkier sensory bin toys. I got these from Lakeshore Learning. So these are not sensory bin toys, but sensory bin fillers. So I just have it in a 2-gallon Ziploc bag here, but these little spirals, these like plastic, they almost look like noodles, but they're nice and big so that she won't put them in her mouth, or they're not a choking hazard. I also got some little green, they're like little balls, they're about this big, from it was a set of 3. So those, the green balls, and then these little stars have been her favorite. So there's just different colors and there's some texture on them, but she loves the way they sound, obviously. What kid doesn't like just the sound of throwing and dropping things? But they're small enough that she can scoop them into containers, or she can use the little like tong type of toys that she has to pinch them and grab them. She can fit them on her finger, put them on little rings, and like little sticks and things like that. And so these particularly have been her favorite, although I would say these are a close second. And these have been a great investment. I wish I had found these. I'm new to shopping at Lakeshore. There's a couple of things here that I grabbed from Lakeshore Learning in a big haul. But I wish I had gone on their website years ago, because I would have really enjoyed this for my younger kids. Or my older kids when they were younger, and I prefer this to rice being thrown all over my house. So thank you, Lakeshore Learning. I have finally cracked the code on how to have a sensory bin in my house without my husband going bananas. We also have a sensory bin table that that we can keep these in permanently and just kind of put the lid on. So I just rotate these out, which is why I have these in bags. So right now she has these blue stars in there. So I know that I said I was sharing things I hadn't shared before, but it has been years since I've shared this. This is a Melissa and Doug stacking and patterning bead set. So this I have been leaving set up on top of the sensory table for her to play with during the day. So you just take these different patterns here and you can set them up, and then you can take one of these poles and set it in front of the pattern for older, like preschool age, and then they can try to create this pattern on this stick with these different beads. But for her right now, because she's 19 months, I've just set these different sticks up, and she's just having a grand time threading them, and this has kept her entertained for a long time. I've had this out for at least 2 weeks now, and she's playing with this constantly. She always wanders over because, like I said, I've just left it set up. So she's been wandering over and playing with this often throughout the day. The next thing I have to share, and I keep a blanket on top of this so that it doesn't get used when I'm not wanting it to be used. Out of sight, out of mind. But this is also from Lakeshore Learning, and it's a bunch of little percussion instruments. And originally I purchased this for our home group. Like I said, we do worship, and because there are so many kids, and we want the kids to be with us during the meal and during worship, the kids play and run around while we're having our discussion. But we want the whole family to be involved during worship and during dinner. And so to make it a little easier on the parents, because a lot of these parents, their oldest kid is like 5, and so we want to make it easier for them to enjoy and teach their kids to sit in with us during worship and to be patient and wait to go play. So my husband and I invested in a bunch of different basically any little instrument I could find on the Lakeshore website, I purchased, and we put it in this big basket. And the idea came because we have bongos and a cajon and some egg shakers that we keep by our piano. And when we're doing worship, the kids have really enjoyed beating on those drums. And so I thought, you know what, we should really get a little set. The other reason I wanted this was because we do folk songs in our homeschool. And so we just did The Fox, which was so fun. We are getting ready to do, I think it's All Fly Away is the next one we're doing. We're starting it this term. And then the last one we're doing is something about crawdads, I believe. I can't remember. I think it's called Crawdad Song, not sure. But my son plays the guitar and my daughter plays the violin, and she's learning how to play it like a fiddle. And my younger ones don't play an instrument currently. And so I thought that these instruments would be super fun for them to use with our folk songs. And then the third reason that I don't want to say like justified the purchase, because my husband and I were both on the same page with it. We both thought it would be well worth it, even just for our home group. But our co-op, we have 35 kids in our co-op this year, and about half of them are middle and high school, and then the other half are their younger siblings. And so we have our older kids who play instruments, bring their instruments and lead worship, but I also thought that this would be a great little treasure box of instruments to bring for the younger kids to play along with our worship time during co-op. So a couple of favorites in here are these rhythm sticks, which, like, who doesn't love these? I loved these as a kid. I also got some rain sticks. I got some egg shakers. I can't remember what these things are called. Let me see if I have a gyro. Is that right? So you guys remember these from like music class when you were a little kid? I remember a handful of these things. I also grabbed this, similar, all these fun little instruments. And it reminded me too that my kids aren't in music class in a public school setting, and that was one of my favorite things in elementary school. So I was glad to make some of these investments. This came as part of a 15-piece set on the website. So they're, I don't remember what any of these things are called. My kids have their own names for them, like, oh, let me play the sandpaper blocks. I don't think that's what they're actually called. And then my daughter, my youngest daughter's, or my middle daughter's favorite are the finger cymbals. Okay, here they are. It was gonna be too loud for me to dig through that on camera. I've kept them in this little baggie because I don't want them to get lost. But just little finger cymbals that you can thread onto your fingers and click your fingers together. So this is a good investment, and we've used it, like I said, for both home group and co-op. I'm bringing it to co-op and for our own folk song time. So this is fun, and I wanted to share in case maybe it was something you hadn't considered or didn't know that these were things you could buy individually on Lakeshore's website instead of purchasing like a full school set online. Okay, next I'm gonna move into books, and this is another one that was a part of those favorite series years ago when I started sharing them on here, but I wanted to share it again because it has come out of the bookshelf for the first time in a long time. And this is the My First Reading Library by Usborne, and we are using this for my 6-year-old right now. And I've always enjoyed these. She's my third kid to use this reading library. And so it goes in 3 different stages. The first 22 books are from the very first reading, which is the first steps into reading that use your help as a parent. The next 12 are from first reading level 1, and these are short stories for them to read themselves. And then the last 16 books are from their level 2, which are longer stories that build stamina and reading confidence. These were a godsend for one of my sons who just needed to build confidence. And my daughter is very similar. She just needs confidence. She's got all of the skills there, but it's just about putting them into practice and gaining confidence. And so the reason that I've enjoyed these, and she's still doing the first 22 books where I read with her, but the reason I like these is because there are games at the end that help with comprehension. And so she reads the large words, I read the small words here. And then at the very end, there are a couple of puzzles. So look at the pictures and try retelling the story is one of them. The next one is choose the right words for each picture. And every book is different. This is just an example, but they continue to have these puzzles. Can you sort these words into groups of rhymes? But as you go through this series, and I have recommended this series to so many friends over the years, but even in the last books where they're reading completely on their own, there are still puzzles that have to do with the story in the back. So it's almost like a little reward for finishing the book, but it also helps them continue reading because like you saw in that one, it was like picking out the rhyming words or retelling the story. So it's continuing to engage them, it just in a different way. So that's a favorite that has been a favorite for 3 kids now. And like I said, it was worth the investment early on because now we've used it for 3 kids and we will be using it, I'm sure, for my toddler when she starts reading. The next book is Nancy and Plum. This is the book that we are currently reading aloud. We read a few books during Christmas time, and then the week that we went on our Christmas break, which was just a couple days before Christmas, we started this one and we only got about halfway through, and then we pressed pause. We had Christmas, we went to the Bahamas, we came back, cleaned Christmas, and here we are getting ready to start our semester. And I, at first, thought we had to finish this book before Christmas, but as I was reading through it, I realized it wasn't just a Christmas book. It begins and ends at Christmas, 2 years or 1 year apart, but the actual story, the bulk of the story is not told during Christmas time, and so the kids have enjoyed this. This is a fun one. It's an easy one to read aloud. The only problem with this book is it's very like, Mary Bell said, Plum said, Mary Bell said, Nancy said, Mary Bell said, Plum said, Mary Bell said, Plum said. It's a little repetitive. No, it's a lot repetitive, but it's been helpful in its own way because my youngest kid can keep up with the story because it's constantly saying who said what. Whereas usually I just change my voice as I'm reading dialogue if they're not seeing the quotation. Cut me off. I was just saying that I usually just kind of change my voice when I'm reading aloud because they're not looking at the quotations, they're not looking at the dialogue. But this one is repetitive with who said what when. So that's been the only thing. It's tripped me up a little bit as I read it, but the story is charming and the kids have loved it, and it's been a fun one to read aloud to everyone. So this is a good one. If you didn't get a chance to read some read-alouds during Christmas time, I know we've had years where it just was not in the cards for us to read a Christmas story during Christmas time because we had so much going on. This is a redeeming book because you can start it. It's kind of set at Christmas time, but it's also not. So if you missed out on that this year, it's a cute story and I really have enjoyed this. And I think we're reading Miracle on Maple Hill next, which was another one that I was like, is this Christmas or is it not? So that's the next one we're reading after this. All right, I believe this is the last like novel or story that I'm sharing. The rest of the books are kind of like curriculum and resources. So this one is for me, and I'm only kind of including this in Homeschool because it's written by Karen Andriola, who wrote Pocketful of Pine Cones and Mother Culture, which are a couple of my favorite homeschooling books. But this is called Michael's Gentle Wife. It was just released. It's a family love story. And the purpose behind this book, she used, I don't know if it's written in here, if it was just on the description. Yes, J.C. Ryle, resolve that by the grace of God, you will make Christianity beautiful in the eyes of the world. And this book, the purpose of this book was just to be an uplifting family story about a woman who loves her husband and a husband who loves his wife, and you know, they're raising their kids in a Christian home, and it's like drama-free. So this is a book that I can just pick up and read casually and enjoy. It's a hefty book here. A mother culture comfort read is what she calls it. So it says, who is Michael's gentle wife? Her name is Carol, and Michael Weaver adores her. A happily married couple in a novel. Imagine that. Are you looking for a female character who esteems her husband, who enjoys her children, who carries her baby around with her everywhere? If so, Carol will encourage you. This is just, I don't typically try to like insulate myself with what I read, or, I mean, obviously I'm mindful of what I take in. But this was one where I just thought, oh, I've been so burdened lately. I have had a really hard year and I just want something mindless to enjoy. And so I thought that is perfect for those moments where I just need a little moment of escape, just to read a blissful book about a happy family. So that is my comfort read right now, and I'm enjoying it so far. I'm just scratched the surface of it. But yeah, I thought it was a nice idea. Next, learning about birds. This has been an absolute hands down favorite this school year. This is by Simply Charlotte Mason, and it goes with the Burgess Bird Book for Children and Blackie the Crow Living Science Handbook. I got this for my younger kids, but I put it in our morning basket because I thought my older two could glean a little bit here and there from it, because we've never done a bird study, and now they're in middle school and high school, and I'm not sure that I will get to it with them. This has been an absolute hit in our home. It's the thing that gets them to the table every morning. Like, okay guys, go grab your bird books, which is their Dover coloring book, the bird coloring book. And then they'll bring it and sit down at the table. And this is their favorite thing that they look forward to most in our school week. I love it more than I thought I would. While it's probably recommended for younger kids, I'm sure it is. I think it's an elementary school book. I would not hesitate to use this with older kids, even if you only have middle or high schoolers. It's been delightful. We have enjoyed it. And I'm just thankful that we're using it while my older two are still homeschooling with us. Next, Speaking Spanish with Miss Mason and Francois, Volume 1. Another hit. I've really enjoyed teaching the kids Spanish this way this year. They're also getting Spanish in our homeschool co-op. But this has been a way for me to dabble in it here at the house without using an online program. This is just a dialogue, and it teaches it the Charlotte Mason way, which was hard for me to understand at first, but as I've been doing it, I understand it a little bit more and more each time, and it's become very natural. But this has been a great resource for our homeschool this year. We've gone through a few, I think, which one are we on? Do I have, oh, there's no bookmarker in it. We were only on like the 4th or 5th series. Yeah, okay, so we're on series 5 right now. I hugged my grandmother. We're not moving along too quickly, but it's okay. We're making our way through, and they're comprehending it in the way that it's done. So this has been a great way to have a little light touch of Spanish in our morning time, without it being like a 5-day-a-week subject that's super intense. Next here, I know I've probably shared this in too many videos already, so you guys have been seeing it a lot. You already know that I love the How to Teach Nature Journaling by John Muir Laws, and this year for our co-op I'm using this, the Laws Guide to Nature Drawing and Journaling. I teach nature in our co-op to elementary, middle, and high schoolers. This has been a great resource. I have not used this book as like an open and go guide. I flip through it and choose what I'm going to teach. Sometimes I just use it as an idea. So there's a little bit about the color wheel in here, and then I went through and found my own resource for it, but it's given me a new perspective on how to teach nature journaling this year. We started with that other book, like I said, last year, and it was really helpful. That was very much like an open and go type of way to teach nature journaling, but I felt comfortable enough to use this year and kind of dabble in it. One thing that it was really helpful with was symbols and icons in our nature journals, and I sent the kids out after a few weeks of learning about these different symbols and icons and gave them the assignment of completing a full page using symbols, icons, arrows, borders, frames. And I mean to tell you, their nature journaling pages really went to the next level, and I was so pleased, because I think a lot of kids who aren't naturally artistic or artistically inclined have a hard time with nature journaling, but when you give them these tools that are in here, it kind of brings them to the next level and gives them the confidence. And I know that my kids at least have become much more confident in their nature journaling, and so have I. So this has been a really great resource, but I would recommend you start with the other one or grab them both together. But I've loved this so much. This gets a quick honorary mention here, the Infographic Bible. This I got for my daughter last Christmas, and she looked at it for the first couple of months of the year, and then it kind of went away. And then in our Bible class that we go to once a week, it's like a homeschool thing, she sits in the adult lecture with me, and one of the infographics was on the screen, and it kind of triggered us to both remember this book. We pulled it out and have been going through it, and it is really neat. So if you have kids, or even if you as an adult enjoy infographics and find them interesting, this is a wonderful book. It's very interesting. My kids and I both love more than just hearing the Bible stories. We always want to know more about it. Why was this translation used? What does this mean in another language or in another translation? What's the history of this story? What's the historical context of this particular time in history? And you know, who translated that, and why was it translated this way in that translation? And so it's just been an interesting thing to add to our Bible reading, and it's been really fun. So if you enjoy that kind of a challenge, or you like that kind of information, this has been a really neat resource. And it's kind of fun if you want to add it to your morning basket time, or to like a poetry tea time, and just flip through a couple of these pages and look at them. It's helpful with engagement. A couple other things here. Simply Charlotte Mason, your questions answered high school, your questions answered narration. I'm not going to pretend I know much about high school. We are still in our first year of high school, homeschooling high school here, and I don't know if you can really tell how well loved this book is so far, but I love how short and sweet and simple but informative this Your Questions Answered High School book is by Sonia Schaefer, especially if you follow a Charlotte Mason method, or if it's your first time with a high school student. Anytime I start to feel overwhelmed, because you're getting information when you homeschool from a lot of different homeschoolers who are doing things different ways, and they may not be the way that you've kind of set up your homeschool. At least that's how it happens to me. So I'll hear things and I'll be like, oh, should we be doing that? And then I start to kind of get all alarmed, and then I'm asking other people and getting other information. And so I'll look at this book and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, this is how simple it can be. This is how we can earn that credit. This is how we can include our high schooler and make them independent at the same time. So this book has been relieving. Same with the Your Questions Answered narration. I refer back to this book all the time. These are similar. I would kind of compare these to like an online forum, but in a book. So it will have just straight up questions. Even, so like, what did you enjoy most about a high school education? Wisdom from the Simply Charlotte Mason forum. My main concern with high school is teaching composition and assigning grades for transcripts. There's one on narration. There's some questions written in there for narration. How do you teach high school level writing and research? And then it's just like 2-paragraph answers. So very quick, very simple. You can refer back to this regularly or read through it at the same, like all at once. I read through this a lot this summer, and now I just kind of flip through the questions as I have questions, and it's really helpful. I think I have a few more, okay, no, it's just a couple more Charlotte Mason resources. So Simply Charlotte Mason Life in the Word is another one that I've enjoyed this year, and I have it here with Joshua's journal because we used this over the last couple of years, and now we've moved on to this Life in the Word. So this was more of an Old Testament law study that my kids really liked, and it was the first time we did any kind of a Simply Charlotte Mason Bible study. So then with my older ones this year, we're using Life in the Word, and this teaches them how to study the Bible accurately and effectively. There's a book study, word study, topical study, doctrine study, narrative study, character study, and an inductive study. It teaches them how to do all these different types of Bible study on their own. And then from here, after Life in the Word, there's like Grow in the Word and something else in the Word. So this is just the first book, and I have enjoyed it so much. The kids went through the whole book of James and learned how to do a complete book study of James on their own, and then they moved on to the character study, and so, or the word study on faith. Right now we're doing the character study. So word study on faith, topical study on freedom, and this has been a really great resource. Really interesting. I am really sorry, guys. I am way chattier than I realized I was today, so I'm gonna try to get through this a little faster. Couple more books left. Fallacy Detective. a surprise favorite so far this year. My daughter is using Introduction to Logic, or Intro to Logic, and it's great. It's really helping with her debate skills. It's helping her see things when she's researching even. But the Fallacy Detective I'm going through with my middle school son right now to kind of prepare him for that logic later on. This has been practical and useful in many situations. It's helped him understand what a red herring is, which he's seeing all the time now. It's really fun. So let me go through here and just give you a rundown of some of the different, teaches them about how to spot bad reasoning. So red herrings, ad hominem, let's see, appeal to the people, straw man. Then it goes into making assumptions, statistical fallacies, and propagandas. And then these books, I've had these for years, but they have just come out more often this year than in years past because I just feel like this year our pace is much faster. I feel that I have 4 kids that I'm homeschooling this year, if that makes sense. Usually it's felt a little, maybe just because we had 2 middle schoolers and 2 elementary schoolers last year, but one of them was a kindergartner, which felt very just kind of like simple. And it's still, she's in 1st grade, so life is still very simple, but we've also got high school sports, all sorts of stuff going on now. And so I feel like the pace is just much faster in our home this year. And so when I need a quick book recommendation, this is what I've just gone to. Honey for a Teen's Heart, Honey for a Child's Heart. These books are broken down by categories, and there's just a little summary about each book that's recommended in there. And I've pulled a lot of recommendations from these books, and they've been really great recommendations. Of course, there's a million book lists out there, and I wouldn't recommend getting all of your book ideas from one of these books. I think they're maybe not always super challenging when you do that. But when you are in a pinch and you don't have time to review a bunch of books, this is a great resource just to pull some books out of. All right, moving on now to games. This game is another thing I've grabbed from Lakeshore. It's called the Allowance Game, and this is just about being the first to save $20. So you're making money and you're spending money, but it's kind of one of the more practical money games that I've played with my kids, because these are situations that they're used to encountering. So we have an overdue library book, for example. They have me as a mom. They're used to having these fees. They mowed lawns, they earned some money, they shopped at a garage sale, they went to the movies, and so they spent money. Let's see, they bought a gift, they spent money at the mall, they, let's see, lost a tooth, they gave to charity, they lost their money out of their pocket. So like I said, these are, oh, it's your birthday, you got money. So these are more realistic scenarios for them, which has made this game a little bit more fun for them. And I just think any game that get money, learning about money, I've found these types of games to be the most helpful because they're just getting lots of practice. It's not flashcards where you're making change. So we have quite a few board games that are all about money, making change, earning money, because that's just the way that I've found they've learned best for me versus worksheets and flashcards. So I always love a game that is about making change. And this was a recommendation from Jessica Waldock years ago. It sat in my cart for like 2 years, but like I said, I really wasn't a Lakeshore shopper. And then their shipping is so fast to where I live. I'm not sure why, because I feel like we're across the country from where they are, but I get things in like 2 days. So once I learned that it was comparable to like Amazon, I grabbed quite a few things from there. Next game I have here, if you have a history lover, particularly a kid who's really interested in World War II history, which I do, Memoir 44 has been a really great resource for him. He loves this game. He sets it up, it stays on our table, and he plays for days, usually with my husband, but he has taught his younger brother how to play. We got him this game and the expansion pack, or the Eastern Front expansion pack, for Christmas, and he's saving up his money because there's another expansion pack that he wants. And I think that this is really neat because he can continue to build on this for years to come. And this is more of like an adult game, so it's not something I think he'll outgrow. So that's a really great resource if you want a board game recommendation for older boys. Next, moving on from here, I've got just some random little tidbits. I have older 2 kids who are earning their own money. I mentioned that allowance game for my younger kids. For my older kids, I have grabbed these A6 binders and inserts and found a bunch of different savings challenges on Etsy. There are printables you can laminate, and have just taught them how to work on saving money, budgeting. These have been a really great resource for them. They can visualize what they're saving. They can make some savings goals. This one is mine. I didn't want to go through and grab theirs, but it's been really great, and it's a fun way to save money. My oldest has an actual job now. She's working for a local ministry, doing childcare with that local ministry some days during the week, and so she's actually getting a paycheck, so we go cash it. She works on her little budget binder, and then my son, he mows our lawn, he mows my dad's lawn sometimes, he gets birthday money, he gets money here and there for helping me with rolling socks, particularly is his big money maker in our house, but it's been helpful for him as well because he's got some savings goals for different karate things and football things and personal spending. So that's been a really neat thing to have for my older kids. Next, we have, these are just, I think they're just called butcher trays for watercolor. We are doing watercolor every Wednesday right now in our homeschool, and I invested in these after watching for a few months on the tutorial we use. She uses these trays, and we were just using other things, but I went ahead and purchased these. They were on sale, and I think they are probably still on sale when I post this video right now. They consistently go like 50% off, then back to normal, then 50% off. So if it's not on sale, if you click my link and it's not on sale, then wait and get it in a few days. It'll probably be on sale. These are great for watercolor, working with thinning out your watercolor, with mixing colors. It's been really helpful for my kids. So these have been a neat addition to our art library here in our house. Couple more things here, guys. Sorry, I did not think this was going to be such a long video. Here. Another thing for art, these Prismacolor Premier colored pencils. I've been a Crayola girl for years. I thought a colored pencil is a colored pencil, but when I started teaching our nature class in our co-op last year, the lady who taught it the year prior purchased a whole bunch of art supplies for the co-op, and so I kind of inherited that bin from her, and she had the big giant kit of these colored pencils, and the kids are using them in co-op and telling me how much they love them. So I got a set of them for us to use with the Dover coloring books for their bird book, and they love them. So I purchased a set for each of them to have individually. I got them for their stockings this year, and they're always like, whose watercolors are these? I know mine are put away, but somebody left their watercolors out here. So they're very protective of them. They really enjoy them, and they are actually really great. So if you're like me and you don't have a lot of art background, you might want to check into something a little higher quality than Crayola if you have older kids or kids who are really into art. So those Prismacolor Premier colored pencils have been great. 2 more things. Okay, 2 random little things. One, these yogurt parfait cups. I don't know why I love these so much, but they've been super helpful. So lots of kids here, plus my husband and I, everyone needs to eat, right? Some mornings, if we wake up a little too late, then we're getting to school a little bit later, and our whole day kind of falls behind, but you gotta have breakfast. And so I have been using these and making yogurt parfaits in them and sticking them in the fridge. That way, if our kids need to grab one for breakfast because we're running behind, we're running late for church or things like that, or if they're really hungry, they want a snack, they want a snack before or after dance or karate or sports or what have you, these are ready to go, and it keeps the ingredients separate, so you can really meal prep these a few days ahead and they're not gonna get soggy. So I'll just put some yogurt in this cup with some maple syrup and stir it up. And then in this top compartment, I put some granola or berries, and then it's just got a little spoon, and it can be grab and go if they need it to be, but it's just been really helpful. It's been a money saver because those individual yogurt parfaits are so pricey times a family of 7. And it's just nice to have on hand. So if you haven't seen these already, which you may have, they were recommended to me on Amazon, and you know, they have me targeted pretty well on my recommendations. We really have enjoyed these, and they've been helpful. Like I said, for those school days where you just need something to be simplified, I have enjoyed that. And then last but not least, I got this last year, but I'm not sure that I ever actually showed it in a favorites video like I had mentioned that I would. When I filmed my last favorites video, I believe that I mentioned I had just ordered this off of Etsy, and I was hopeful, and I love it. It's one of my favorite pieces in our homeschool room now. It is the poem If by Rudyard Kipling, which I just love. And I expect to have my kids memorize this one day. So I have this in our homeschool room right now. I got it off of Etsy, and I really enjoy it. It just brings me a lot of joy when I see it throughout the day. And so I wanted to share this with you, and I'll put the Etsy link down below. So thank you for hanging on this long homeschooling favorites video. Maybe I should do these more often because this was way too long. But yeah, thank you guys for watching today's video. Thank you, Night Zookeeper, for partnering with me on today's video. The link and the code is in the description box down below for that. And most of these things that I mentioned, I will leave a link down below if I can find one for it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you soon. Bye, guys.